Hi, I'm Dr. Berna Torr. I'm an associate professor in the sociology department, and I'm also the vice chair of the department. I also teach a class, Sociology 307, using sociology for career success. And in that class, we talk about a lot of the things I'm going to talk about today, about how do you use your time on campus, how do you pick classes, activities, and other things to try to help maximize your time while you're here. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to mainly focus on choosing classes and, for the most part, choosing your electives. But the first goal to keep in mind when you are picking classes is graduation. That is number one. So make sure you know what your required courses are, how many electives you have left to take, which GE buckets you need to fill, all of those things before you start picking any of these things. We already have other videos on the required courses in the major and also our elective. So if you're wondering about that process, I suggest that you start there and then come back and listen to this one again. And when you're trying to figure out, okay, so now what do I do for my electives? Okay, so number one to keep in mind is graduation. The second goal, I think, to keep in mind is career preparation. So career preparation is two things. Thinking about the thing you think you want to do and taking classes that are in that area, but also thinking about things that maybe you might possibly want to do and exploring some other things while you're here too. So maybe you think you're interested in something criminal justice related. Take some classes in those areas, but don't take all of your electives in that area. Give yourself some room to explore. Well, maybe the way I might want to do this is through a nonprofit, or maybe there's something about teaching if it's that you want to work with juveniles. Maybe there's something in teaching or youth and children that you want to take that will help you with that as well. Okay, so when you're thinking about career prep, there's a couple of ways we can think about it. There is topical, like I just talked about. Maybe you want to take some classes in criminal justice or classes on children, but they can also be things like that are experiential. So you might think about taking service learning classes, internships, sociology in the community that will actually get you out in the field trying to do some of the things that you think you're interested in and seeing if you really like it. For some people, this will be a great experience. For some people, it's like, that wasn't so great. That's really useful information to have. So I encourage you to try to get out and try things as well. My other suggestion is to use the GE classes that you have to take to explore potential career paths, right? So if there's something that you like, I was kind of interested in teaching maybe, or I'm kind of interested in psychology, try to take some of the GE classes so that you can explore some of those things. But really big thing is not to over specialize. You want to build some skills and experiences in the thing that you want to do so that you're prepared to go on the job market when you graduate, but not focus in so much that you haven't done anything else. One of the reasons I say that, people wonder, well, okay, but I know I want to be a social worker, or I know I want to do this. I've decided. Even then, I would encourage you not to over specialize, because, as I'll get to in a minute, when you go to grad school or you go work, you will get that specialized training that you need. Most employers will expect you to have to give you some kind of training, or for you to have gotten it in grad school in the specialization piece of it. What you won't get to do there is take all the other stuff. So college is really the place where you can build those sort of transferable skills, explore things, just sort of build a broader base for yourself. Okay. So the third goal is building skills, right? As I just mentioned. So there's building skills that will help you get to the career that you want, but also thinking about not just your first job after college, but building yourself up through a career trajectory, right? And setting yourself up. So a big thing that I think you should focus on is transferable skills. So what that means is not specific knowledge to a specific occupation, but trying to build up things like verbal and written communication, critical thinking, problem solving kinds of skills, the kinds of things that you can take to any occupation and that will serve you well. One of the greatest things about majoring in sociology is that sociology really prepares you for this kind of problem solving and critical thinking. One of the things that we do as sociologists is we look around and we say, how do things work? Are they working the way they're supposed to? We look at patterns, we look at ideas, and we say, how could we think about this in a way that would help make it better? And these are all the kinds of things, the skills that you're going to use to work your way up your career trajectory. So focusing on those kinds of transferable skills will really help you stand out. So this might be using your GE classes to take a class on public speaking or oral communication, particularly if you know this is something that you struggle with, right? Use the time to try to help build those skills. If you know you're already really good at those things, then, sure, you could take one and practice it, but on the other hand, you might take something else that helps you build a different kind of skill. Maybe writing is a more challenging thing for you. I'd encourage you to go beyond just a Sociology 308 class and take some additional classes in writing that will help you build those skills. Maybe it's language. Maybe you speak Spanish or Vietnamese, but you want to work on your skills and improve them. Or maybe you speak it really well but don't write it as well. That might be a place that you could build some additional skills. In terms of critical thinking and problem solving, I'm always a big fan of taking more, math-related classes is one way to go. I teach statistics also, right? So those kinds of problem solving and quantitative reasoning. But if you're like, that's not what I want to do, you could think about taking classes in philosophy, right? Think about different ways of thinking through problems and giving yourself additional skills to kind of think. Maybe something in political science where you have to write some papers that actually ask you to think critically about policies, about laws, right? These are all different ways of building those critical thinking and problem solving skills. You can also take classes in sociology. We do a lot of that there, but I'm trying to give you some other ideas as well. Okay, you might also take classes that help you build more specific skills. So you can think about these things as like software kinds of skills. Maybe you want to build up your SPSS skills, or maybe you want to learn GIS, something like that, where you're building specific skills. Language would come in this. So there's other things to think about too. But I would suggest sitting down and thinking about, okay, let's say I'm planning for a career in research. What are the things that I want to have on my resume when I get done? Maybe I'm planning a career in social work. What are the kinds of things that I want to have on my resume when I apply for my MSW programs? And think about, okay, what's not there and how could I sort of fill that in? Okay. Goal number 4 while you're in college is to build social networks. And this might seem like it has nothing to do with your classes, but it really does. So social networks are one of the best ways to help you find out about job opportunities and also to get you jobs. Whether it's a job or graduate school, you will need references and letters of recommendation from faculty. Many jobs are not even advertised, right? They're just sort of word of mouth, and people say, you're good at this. We have this job coming up. Would you like to apply for it? It might not actually ever appear in a job ad. So a couple of ways that you could think about doing this with your classes. So build the skills by taking these classes I've been talking about, while also getting things on your resume, but it'll help you meet other professors, right? Even outside of the department, get to know them. Take classes where maybe you have a chance at getting to know your professor instead of a 500-person, lecture class. Not that we have that many of those on campus. Service learning classes, internships, sociology in the community, any kind of other classes like that actually get you out in the field, working with people who do that work, are great for networking. Both with the people who work there, but also with the other students who are working there, because they're likely to be interested in the same kinds of things that you are. Maybe they're a year ahead of you in the program, and then they go work somewhere, and then you know them. When you're applying for jobs, they might know of things that would be of interest to you. So build those social networks through that. I can't tell you how many students I know who have done an internship or some other small thing while they were in college that turns into a job later on. So really, and it's also a great way to find out if you actually like doing it. Take classes with professors you find interesting or who you think might make good mentors. Not everybody is a good mentor, even if they're a good professor, right? Not everybody is a good mentor for you. And so you have to kind of find your spot, find the people who you really click with and who offer advice that works for you. But if you do, take classes with them, build those relationships. That involves a little work on your part. Go to office hours, talk to them. Be more than just somebody who sits in the classroom and doesn't say anything, so that you can build those relationships. Invest in those relationships with your professors, whether it's inside the sociology department or outside, with other students that you see in class. If you're going to grad school, you need letters of recommendation, and now is the time to build those. You might need references for other jobs as well, and professors are great for those things too. Okay, and then last but not least, goal number 5 is building cultural capital. Right? So I'm using some sociological terms here, social capital, cultural capital. But this is important. Take classes you won't get a chance to take after college that build up things that make you an interesting person, make you a more well-rounded person. You can do this in a lot of ways, right? You could take classes on literature, art, language, philosophy, dance, music, whatever is of interest to you. Give yourself an opportunity to learn some more about it, to be a more informed, well-rounded person, whether it's something that you might do with work or something that you might do as a hobby later on, or maybe it's something that will help you connect with the kids that you're later on going to teach or work with in juvenile probation, or a way to connect with adults in an older home, whatever it is that you want to do. And use the GE requirements to help you explore things. Like I said before, when you go to work, when you go to grad school, all of those things, all the specialized knowledge, they're going to teach you that there. You will never again get a chance to take an art history class, though, unless you decide to become an art historian, right, and go to grad school for that. So use the opportunity now to kind of fill in some of those pieces and build up some of those some of that cultural capital. So when you go on a job interview and you're trying to connect with someone, you have a wider range of experiences, right? Broaden those experiences. It also helps make us better sociologists if we have a broader idea of how the world works, what different things are. So I'm a big fan of trying to get a real broad liberal arts education as part of your other goal and build that cultural capital. I'm also a huge fan of study abroad and other kinds of experiential ways of doing that. And then there's also some smaller summer programs where you don't even have to go abroad, but you're sort of studying away while you're here if studying abroad isn't an option for you. But just encouraging you to try to explore some different things. And it's really important as sociologists that we understand the world around us. And the more that we can get out and do things and try different things, the better understanding of the world we have.